Coming up on The Rocks, we'll discuss the current results of the election and what current SRU students think about this election. We'll also sit down with members of SRU's Young Progressives and College Republicans to get their thoughts on last night's initial results. Then, are you ready to get in the holiday spirit? Because the SGA Bookstore annual holiday sale is coming up, and everyone on and off campus can enjoy the festive deals. All this and more coming up on The Rocks. Welcome back to On the Rocks. I'm Mac Bell.
And I'm Madison Williams.
In an email to SRU students on Monday, the Student Affairs Office stated that an SRU student has been reported missing. Gregory Jones, a 21-year-old student from New Kensington, has brown hair and brown eyes and wears glasses. He was last seen on campus on October 25th driving a 2004 dark purple Lexus. Anyone who has seen Jones or knows any information should contact the state police immediately at 724-284-8100.
In addition to the variety of alternatives for voting this election, citizens could still wait in line and vote at their designated polling location. Our very own Ashley Kaiser reported at the scene. Let's check it out.
It's Election Day. I'm standing outside one of the locations in Slippery Rock to go out and vote. The question of the day is whether or not the polls would be nearly as busy as they usually are because of the coronavirus. SGA provided busing to 2 locations to allow Slippery Rock students to go out to the polls and vote. Voters said that their wait was about 45 minutes to an hour. Lucky for them, the sun was shining. I spoke with 2 citizens to see if they felt safe voting in person and if COVID safety guidelines were being followed.
I thought they took it really seriously when you walked in to stand inside waiting to go vote in there. They had masks, hand sanitizer, gloves for people that needed it, and they also had 6 feet markers on inside the building too. So I thought they took it really seriously.
Reporting for WSRU-TV, I'm Ashley Kaiser.
And as SRU students took to the polls yesterday, and many of them casted a ballot for the first time in a presidential election, with a variety of options available to vote, some of us at WSRU-TV recorded our own process of voting by mail, voting early, and voting in person. Why don't you take a look?
Hi, I'm Averi Kleigleng, and I voted by mail because I was unable to make it to my local polling location due to being at college.
Hi everyone, my name is Shumsky. I am with The Rocket and WSRU-TV. I'm going to go ahead, take the morning off, run to Butler, and exercise my right to vote. Have my t-shirt, we're ready to go. Right, just got to Butler, going to take a small walk to the government center. I also wanted to say that the man I spoke to at the Election Bureau was particularly helpful in telling me that I had to be here at a certain time, and made sure I was in line at this certain time, so I made sure my vote counted. So right now it is about 11:20 and I will see you on the other side. I did it. We did it. 12:40, time leaving the building. Okay, just got back to my car. It is now a little after 12:45. That is about an hour 15, an hour 20 minutes in line. So the Election Bureau is on the bottom level, the lower level of the courthouse. I first got there, I had to wait on the steps. So I would guess at that point there were probably 60 to 80 people, and it took over an hour at that point. During that time, other things that happened, there was someone from the Election Bureau, they handed out mail-in ballot applications. So I took one of those, I completed it while in line. So whenever I got to the door, all I had to do was give it to them. They gave me my ballot. I turned it in just as if it was an absentee ballot. got my sticker, and then we were done from there.
Hi everyone, I'm Joe Wells. I'm assistant news editor at The Rocket, and I'm also a reporter for WSRU-TV. This year I am voting because I normally always do. As much as I can get out every year when there's an election, I try to get to the polls. It's important to me, mainly for civic duty reasons. As somebody who served in the military, I think that if I was going to go ahead and fight for the country, then I should be able to vote for the country. So we were thinking that, hey, it's going to be early. Don't really have to worry about the lines. Everybody likes to sleep in a little, but apparently this election is a little important. So yeah, here we are with the line. This is up at the Township Building for Slippery Rock, and a solid turnout. Got about 5 people in front, and then I can be warm for a few minutes, but it's finally moving. Only about an hour it took to get through the line, and looks like if you come now and you're in the back of the line, it'll be about an hour. Well, the process went pretty smooth. Everything was nice because of the fact that my last name was in short supply there, so M through Z got bumped up through the line.
This is it. My name's Marrie, and I just got to the polls. I'm getting to vote in the presidential election for the first time in my life. I'm really looking forward to this. The line doesn't look too bad. Maybe about 15 people in front of me. All right, I just got to the polling place. Looks like there's about maybe 20 people in front of me, so it shouldn't be too long of a wait, but I'm going to get myself in line and then prepare to vote for the first time in a presidential election. Super exciting. I just voted. It took about 20-ish minutes, a lot shorter than I thought. Good system going through there, only allowing a few people in at a time in the actual building, so they're keeping social distancing. And same with outside. Everybody had a mask on, which was great. So overall, voting went good, went well, and I was in and out in about 20 minutes.
Hey guys, Mac Bell back here again. I'm sitting in the parking lot at my polling place here in Palmyra. I decided to come home and vote. My mom told me if I came home to visit and vote in person that she'd make me some good meals, and she stayed true to her word. So I'm gonna go on in there and vote. It's about 1:20 right now, so we'll see how long this takes. Hey guys, I just got done casting my ballot. I was in and out of that polling place in easily 10 minutes. It was a lot less busy than what I was anticipating. Most likely it's going to get busier around the evening hours, about 4 till the close of the polls. So we'll be waiting for that, but my ballot is casted and I'm coming home to Slippery Rock. See you soon.
As we are nearly in the end of the semester, we are still seeing a rise in COVID-19 cases. Here at Slippery Rock, as of yesterday, we had 206 cases and 16 new cases between October 27th and November 2nd. 201 of the 206 cases are students. As for Butler County, there were 32 new cases. And as for PA, the state added 2,420 new cases on Monday.
We'll be right back with some more election coverage after this commercial break. Sit tight.
It starts with a dream, and then something, someone, or someplace happens. That is the difference between those who dream and those who make it happen. An experience where you are pushed, challenged, knocked down, picked up, encouraged to do better and to be better. Make your dreams happen at Slippery Rock University. Experience the difference.
Hello everybody and welcome back. Here we are still waiting for who the next president is. Right now, what we do know is that Biden is ahead in the Electoral College 248 to 214. The most recent state to be declared was Wisconsin, and that was called for Joe Biden. So here we are now waiting on Georgia, we're waiting on big states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, but it's still up in the air. We don't know where the votes could go, and we don't know who is going to be the next president of the United States. However, here at SRU, the Rocket conducted a student survey to get their thoughts on the election.
Exactly half of the students surveyed said that they were planning to vote for the first time. Just over 63% of students said that they were planning to vote for Joe Biden for president. Most students, 82 in this survey to be exact, plan to vote in person during this election versus a mail-in ballot or an absentee ballot. In the survey, the majority of students said that they were not in favor of defunding the police. They are unsure if the U.S. Supreme Court should be expanded and support abolishing the Electoral College. For more details on the results of the survey, go to theonlinerocket.com.
On Monday, the SGA unanimously approved a motion to reverse the Student Activities Fund budget to reflect the 50% reduction that was announced over the summer. The reduction sets the budget at $1.25 million and reduces all SGA club budget to 50% as well. SRU athletes, which receives 34% of the budget, will also see a reduction. The Senate also approved new guidelines which will ban SGA-recognized clubs from hosting their self-support accounts at off-campus institutions. According to Vice President Nate Deasing, any organization found to be in violation could see their funding and activities suspended until corrected. Deasing also clarified that this would not apply to third-party apps like Venmo, which handle payment processing. For organizations looking to attend a virtual conference, the Finance Committee has opened conference grants back up until the end of the year. On Monday, the SGA approved $500 for both Rock Catholic and music therapy, and $50 for pro bono physical therapy. Lastly, two more organizations were recognized by SGA: Multidisciplinary Arts Collective and Tau Beta Sigma Sorority. Their approval brings the total number of organizations added this year to 5. And that's your SGA update. We'll sit down with Mara Schlosser from the Young Progressives and Ethan Frenetovich from the College Republicans to discuss the election and their thoughts, as well as await a final winner. We'll be right back. Commercial break.
It starts with a dream, and then something, someone, or someplace happens. That is the difference between those who dream and those who make it happen. An experience where you're pushed, challenged, knocked down, picked up, encouraged to do better and to be better.
Check out our studio!
Make your dreams happen at Slippery Rock University. Experience the difference.
Go Rock!
Hello everybody and welcome back to this Election 2020 special edition of On the Rocks. After a long night for many Pennsylvanians and Americans alike, we're still left wondering who will be the next president of the United States and what direction is this election heading?
With so many questions and so little answers today, we decided to bring in some special guests to discuss this topic of the election and further grasp a better understanding of the possible results.
And without further ado, we now welcome the president of the SRU College Republicans, Ethan Frenetovich, and the vice president of the Young Progressive, Mara Schlosser. Hi guys, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Not too bad. A little sleep deprived.
A little sleep deprived. We were up late, pretty late too. We're going to ask our first question about the presidential election. All right. So, with varying views on mail-in ballots across the country, I would just like to know each of your views about mail-in ballots, and whether that be praises or concerns. Mara, I'd like to go to you first.
Okay, sure. So mail-in ballots have definitely seen a dramatic increase this year compared to normal, and that is on account of the COVID-19 pandemic. I would say that they are definitely, more mail-in ballots seem to be favoring Democrats than Republicans. It's about a 5-to-1 ratio right now of more Democrats using mail-in ballots than Republicans. And that is largely because of the president's rhetoric. He has been, for a couple months, decrying mail-in ballots in every state except for Florida, where he says it's fine. And so we have really seen quite the partisan split, but there isn't really any evidence that mail-in ballots lead to extended fraud. And that does seem to be, nevertheless, the president's strategy to try and call into question the validity of the mail-in ballots, even though for all the evidence we have at the moment, mail-in ballots have been legitimately cast.
Now, Mara, I'd like to just ask a quick follow-up question. How much do you think the mail-in ballots have affected the election and voter turnout? Do you think it's increased voter turnout?
It's hard to say. I think this election, either way, whether mail-in or in-person votes were more prevalent, either way, this was going to be an election that we see high turnout in, because both parties have very energized bases at the moment. I do think, the amount of turnout we have seen in early voting is dramatically increased from previous years. So at first it did seem to be padding projections for voter turnout, but I don't think it is going to be so significant a margin in the turnout that just mail-in ballots, just their implementation, is making the difference.
Now, Ethan, I'd like to toss that to you. So what are your personal views with mail-in ballots, and how do you think they've affected this election and in terms of voter turnout?
Well, I think that I'd like to follow up on Mara's point, which was when it comes down to which voters applied for mail-in ballots, when it comes down to it, the trend has been that 6 out of 10 mail-in ballots have been for President Biden, at least for the terms of the presidential election. And if you look at that, you have to put that next to the figures where the majority of in-person ballots have been for Donald Trump. And we've heard this on several news stations where it's been, you have the initial influx of blue votes, which are mail-in ballots, and in certain states they've been counting them first. Now, in other states, Pennsylvania is one of them, they've been slow to get to that number. And I think that it's important that when we look at these ballots, you have to keep in mind that the majority of people that did vote on Election Day did vote for President Trump. And they talked, a lot of news stations talked about this. Nancy Pelosi brought it up where it was a red mirage in the beginning of the initial election. And we did see that in some states. And these mail-in ballots in several states seem to be pushing in favor for Biden. And while the president may come out and say that there is chances for fraud, some states have had mail-in systems for years. Florida is one of them. They did it very efficiently. They got it in on time, and we saw their results very early on in the election. And that set a trend for what we expected in most of the country. And as we've seen in different parts of the country, like Pennsylvania, there is a massive delay in how they're going to tabulate these votes.
Now, you mentioned Pennsylvania, and that's going to segue right into my next question. Currently, 80% of the Pennsylvania recording results are in, and President Trump is leading by about 7%. Now, some experts are saying that mail-in ballots that haven't been counted yet could swing our state blue. So do you think that that's a plausible outcome right now? It could swing blue due to the mail-in ballots being counted right now as we speak?
Personally, I do not like to say that one candidate will win over the other in certain states, especially with as narrow margins as we have in a lot of swing states. Specifically in Pennsylvania, yes, Donald Trump does have a 7% lead. Now, that could be because of Biden's remarks at the second presidential election about banning fracking and dismantling the oil industry. And regardless of your opinions on that statement, that definitely did not sit well with a lot of Pennsylvania voters. Now, if you look at the mail-in ballots that are overwhelmingly for Biden across the country, you have to take into account the fact that that 7-point lead will narrow. It's going to narrow significantly in the next coming days, potentially days, and we could see, honestly, in either direction. Trump may maintain his lead by just a few percentage points. He may maintain his lead by only a few thousand votes, or there's the chance, of course, that the state remains red. And if that is what happens, then his pitch in Pennsylvania and spending as much time as he did in Pennsylvania was enough to prevent the mail-in ballots and the voter turnout on Election Day from swinging the state blue.
Alrighty, and then I'd like to just toss it over to Mara real quick. Mara, what are you thinking is a plausible outcome for Pennsylvania right now, given that we have 80% of the results recorded so far?
So Pennsylvania is definitely a close race, and realistically, it can go either way. I would say something to pay attention to is that a lot of the votes that have not been counted yet, almost all of them actually, are mail-in votes, because the way Pennsylvania deals with early votes, mail-in votes, they stopped counting them around, depending on the county, but from midnight to 3 in the morning. They stopped counting them to pick up in the morning. So that is mostly what is left to count. The in-person election day votes have largely been counted. And in particular, we are still waiting on about 30% of the votes from Philadelphia County and its suburbs, as well as Allegheny County. And those two metropolitan areas, Allegheny County having the city of Pittsburgh, make up about 2/3 of Pennsylvania's population. And both do tend to lean Democratic, Philadelphia more so. So I think definitely, as Ethan said, we're gonna see the leads start to narrow as more of these votes are counted, but it is still a toss-up on where the final count will end up. And most likely, we are gonna see a recount and court challenges, no matter the outcome. So it's gonna be a couple days yet in Pennsylvania, but it's still up in the air.
All right, thank you, Maddy. Do you want to go to the next question?
Okay, so there have been discussions as to whether or not Donald Trump would try and call the election early before all of the votes have came in. Do you think that this is what he attempted to do last night during his public address? Ethan, you can start.
I will say this. Both candidates did come out and they did present an argument for a hopeful election. In Donald Trump's case, it's a re-election. And personally, I do not believe that he came out and openly declared a decisive victory. I do think that he was seeing his leads in some of those states, at least last night, which have actually, which if you look at the states of Wisconsin and Michigan, Biden is actually leading in those states at the moment. And I think he made that decision early on because he saw those leads and wanted the counting to stop. That being said, his statement on he wanting voting to stop and wanting counting to stop is very important because you have to look at the vernacular of his statement. When it comes to voting, that could easily mean the mail-in ballots coming in that are postmarked on Election Day. And there has been controversy around the state on postmarks that are fuzzy, blurry, smudged, or inconclusive that will be counted as if they were placed on Election Day. And that is a massive controversy in the state. And I think he knows this, and we know he knows this because for him to come out last night and openly say that he's pretty sure that he won, and for him to say that he will take it to the Supreme Court, that is his opinion is that he has won a decisive victory, but in his opinion, due to fraud, there may have been something holding him back from getting a decisive victory in states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, or Michigan.
Great. Mara, would you also like to respond?
Yeah, so there is no big surprise in Donald Trump's statement last night. He actually has been telling us since October that he planned to declare victory on election night and take it to the courts to try and throw out the ballots. Even though we expected this to happen, it was still pretty disgusting to watch him go up on stage and say, frankly, we won this election, while it's still very much contested. I mean, in a football game, if it's tied in the third quarter, you don't say, oh, well, it looks like I'm going to win, so let's just stop here. And I know that the rest of the Republican Party has kind of distanced themselves from his claim to victory. But it is still, it's shocking to see the President of the United States make such an unsubstantiated claim that he won the election in the past tense while it's still happening, while counting is ongoing in all of the states that will end up deciding this election. It is really unfortunate that we have a president that we can't take seriously, that we have to say, oh, well, he didn't really mean what he said. That is an embarrassment to our country. It's a shame on our country. And
just to interject real quick, but I just got breaking news that Wisconsin did go to Joe Biden. Joe Biden won the electoral votes in Wisconsin. So we're now at 237, Joe Biden, to 214, Donald Trump. I just want to get that in there real quick.
okay, I appreciate that. So now it is down to Pennsylvania and Michigan. Joe Biden needs to win only one more of them to win the election. But if Donald Trump claims both, then he will win. And I imagine Wisconsin will probably have a recount. I know early on, when the commissioners stated that there was a Joe Biden lead in early counts, there were already challenges being made, and it is within the margin to prompt a recount.
Thank you for the response.
Sure.
So my final question about the presidential election is going to be, do you think that if the results of the election continue to stay up in the air, at least for today and the next couple of days, while these votes are being counted, do you think that this could spark potential protests? And Mara, we can start with you.
Certainly, I do think it could spark potential protests. I am fairly happy so far that we've had a peaceful election. There was all kinds of speculation beforehand about violence at the polls or violence, voter intimidation, things like that. And by and large, we didn't see those things. And that is a huge accomplishment. I'm very proud of everybody for that. So I do think we are going to see some degree of unrest, no matter the outcome of this election. And especially as the election is drawn out for days at a time. Like if it all comes down to Pennsylvania, which is really counting very slowly, then the chances of protests dramatically increase. But I do think that is a certain inevitability, especially because even if we see the blue shift that election officials discuss, even so, Democrats are most likely not going to win the Senate. And I think that will prompt some people to go and protest. And certainly we hope it all stays peaceful.
And Ethan, I'd like to shift the same question over to you and get your response, please.
I think that we should all be very grateful that today we woke up and we didn't see news reports of riots in the streets and burning, buildings burning, businesses being looted. And I think Mara makes an excellent point that regardless of the outcome of the election, there will be unrest in some form or another, whether that's a protest or whether there is violence in certain areas of the country. Of course, we can all have hopeful optimism that that doesn't happen. And regardless of what happens over the course of this election, I think that we should all be cautious of what comes next in our country. And, you know, obviously the race is not over. And Trump still has a substantial lead in Georgia. He still has a substantial lead in North Carolina. There is a chance, obviously, that those states could still flip as the votes aren't all the way in. But yes, the election will come down to Michigan and Pennsylvania. And it's going to be tight.
No, absolutely, I agree. I'm looking here right now. Michigan has 94% in currently, and Joe Biden does have the lead, but it's very slight. Pennsylvania still at 80%, so we're still waiting. This election's still very fluid. But I would like to transfer over from presidential to District 10. Talk about District 10. Even with a third-party candidate, it does not appear that the candidate, Jonathan Peffer, split the ticket to swing the election. What does that say about the voters in District 10? I'm going to go to Ethan again first.
Could I have an update on District 10 on where those votes are split, by chance? Yeah, there are.
55 to 29 and 15 is what I'm getting here.
With 72% of those votes in, at least from what we're getting at least is what has been reported, I do think that Aaron Bernstein probably does have a good chance of election. I don't think there's enough of a swing for there to be a runoff by any chance. Obviously, the race is still tight and the votes haven't come in all the way yet. When it comes to District 10, there appears to be a Republican majority in the district, obviously. And that being said, I think that Aaron Bernstein is pretty safe where he is right now. That could obviously easily shift with 25% of the votes, but as of right now, I think it leans very strongly in his favor. And obviously, the third party, Jonathan Peffer, definitely didn't help Colby Cole in her effort to get elected. I think actually that probably took votes away from her in her chance to overtake Aaron Bernstein.
Absolutely. And do you want to ask, that's actually a great segue. Do you want to ask your question on Aaron Bernstein?
Yeah, sure. So can Aaron Bernstein, can he repair the relations with the state GOP after they called for his resignation in early October? And we can start with either one if you. Marrie, you can go first.
Okay, sure. So I think that is going to be very difficult for Aaron Bernstein to do. He has always been a pretty controversial figure in the PA House. I recall some time ago he stated that if protesters were blocking the road, he would just drive on through, and things like that that really make him a bit of a liability for the PA GOP, and have also painted Pennsylvania District 10 in a very bad light. I think there is a long way for him to go if he wants to reestablish himself as a serious politician who has a policy agenda. Right now, that is not how he comes across, and the fact that the PA GOP asked him to resign is evidence of that. I think we do see a lot of loyalty toward him in District 10, though. And this says to me that Republican voters in District 10 are more concerned with the national Republican Party than the state Republican Party. Because Bernstein has still been a very vocal supporter of President Trump, and that seems to be more influential than the PA GOP asking him to resign. I do think a lot of speculation before the election thought that Jonathan Peffer, excuse me, would split the conservative vote, and that does not seem to be very well founded. I will note that a lot of the ballots yet to come in are, again, mail-in ballots, but I don't imagine it would swing the election. I think Bernstein is still a shoo-in.
Do you have any comment on that, Ethan?
I actually do. In terms of repairing relationships with the Pennsylvania GOP, all relationships can be mended in some form or another. While as we were sitting here talking about this, I got a call back to when Mitt Romney voted for Donald Trump's impeachment. And there were many people in the GOP that turned around and wanted to disavow Mitt Romney. They wanted to oust him from his position. They were mortified. A lot of Trump voters were mortified of the fact that he would even turn against the president, given that there was a Republican president in the White House. That being said, obviously it's not the exact same case as the GOP actively asked for Aaron Bernstein's resignation. Still, the fact that he seems to have a pretty decent lead, and the fact that District 10 still, at this point from what the votes we have, appears to still support him, that should give him some wiggle room and some leeway into mending relationships with the state GOP. Hopefully there will be a lesson learned, and there can still be a meldable relationship and a positive light that can be shed on District 10 if the actions of Representative Bernstein can positively reflect the people in this district.
Absolutely. Those are great answers, guys. We're going to go to a commercial break, but we're going to be right back here with some more after this break. Stay tight.
It starts with a dream, and then something, someone, or someplace happens. That is the difference between those who dream and those who make it happen. An experience where you are pushed, challenged, knocked down, picked up, encouraged to do better and to be better. Make your dreams happen at Slippery Rock University. Experience the difference.
This past Sunday, the Pittsburgh Steelers defeated the Baltimore Ravens with a score of 28-24 after a come-from-behind victory in the second half. This big win down in Baltimore leaves the Steelers as the last undefeated team in the league with a perfect record of 7-0. On Monday, following the game, a statement was released by the Ravens saying their cornerback Marlon Humphrey tested positive for COVID-19. Luckily, everybody on the Steelers tested negative. Also after their win on Sunday, the Steelers announced a trade with the New York Jets for their linebacker Averi Williamson, adding to the strength of their already powerful Steeler defense. In exchange, the Steelers traded away their 5th and 7th round draft pick for the 2022 season. Pittsburgh's next game on Sunday will be away against the 2-6 Dallas Cowboys.
While many traditions have changed this year, Slippery Rock students will still have one awesome event to look forward to before the end of the fall semester. The annual Big Sale at the bookstore will continue this year. Students have the chance to shop the sale in-store on November 18th from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. All shoppers who are not on campus, including students, parents, and alumni, may shop online November 16th through the 20th on the SGA bookstore website. This sale comes only once a year, as the entire store is marked down 20%. In previous years, SGA also had a gift wrapping station to decorate items for students to give for the holidays. In these uncertain times, it's nice to see that the tradition is still continuing and they're still holding the sale. Whether or not you're residing in the Slippery Rock area or will be joining us online, this is a special event you will not want to miss out.
Well, we're not just in election season, we're also in console season. Next Tuesday, the Xbox Series X and S release and kick off the next generation of gaming for Microsoft. 2 days later, Sony's PlayStation 5 releases and the new gaming generation will be here. Currently, all the consoles are unavailable to order. However, a report from GameStop says they will have a few in stock for purchase. So if you didn't snag a pre-order, this might be your chance. As for the PS5, no reports from GameStop or other retailers about any console being available to purchase on release day. Well, that is all the news that we have for you today. Again, my name's Mac Bell.
And my name's Maddy Williams.
And that's the rock solid truth. Stay blessed, stay safe. Good night.